Welcome back with the Quiet Subculture, and I wanted to do a fall analysis video of some of the worst trad falls that I've taken over, my years of climbing, because I've learned a lot from these falls, and maybe you could learn something from them too. Plus, it's entertaining. It's fun to watch people fall off rock climbs. So I want to preface this by saying that my worst trad falls that I've taken, I don't have video of, and we're probably on like many different 5/8s in the Gunks. So if you could, one major takeaway from this video, don't climb 5/8 in the Gunks. You'll fall and almost die, certainly, a lot of times. And what's the other thing? I don't wear a helmet. It's not because I think I'm cool or anything like that. If you're part of the helmet police and you want to yell at me because I don't have a helmet on, this isn't the video for you. This isn't the channel for you. That's it. I'm going to be giving good, practicable advice that you can use to make your climbing better based on my falling. Wearing a helmet is a good piece of advice. I don't do it. Don't take that piece of advice. Again, it's not because I think I'm cool. It's just because I don't want to. So let's get into the first video. This is El Kabong. This is a 12CR in the Gunks, very popular route on the workout wall. And this isn't a bad or dangerous fall at all. It's just a long fall. It's maybe like a 30-foot fall. This was an ice cold day. I couldn't feel my hand. Yeah, whoa. Well, I don't even care about the fall. You see my foot slip there. The foot slip. Whoa, right down. Maybe it's like 20 feet. There's not much to learn from that one. That was a fall onto two microcams. I think a red dragonfly and a yellow dragonfly. It was an ice cold day, so my fingers were totally cold. All I was thinking about was how I couldn't feel my fingers and I had to pull this crux. And because of that, I guess I wasn't paying too much attention to my foot, and I slipped and I fell. Again, safe fall, nothing to hit, nothing but air. So that gets number 10. Here at number 9, this is a route called Cars That Eat People. This is in 11A in Lost City, and this was an on-site attempt. Okay, so here I am chuffing about, trying to figure out where the heck I'm going. See, I'm doing your usual on-site climbing, looking for feet. Right there by my left foot is a red DMM walnut, which is totally undamaged from this fall. Running out, it's a far fall, but again, a safe fall. So these videos, these clips will get better and more dangerous as they go. And losing my feet. Not sure what the heck I'm doing. And there we go. Oh! Yeah, it was a good 20 feet, 25 feet. Totally uninjured. The ground is maybe 10 feet beneath me. Fell into a micronut with a cam underneath that. And what I learned in this fall is that micronuts work really well when they're placed in really good rock. So trust your micronuts. Here at number 8, we have me falling off bird brain, and this is another totally lame fall. I talked about this in one of our previous videos of my lead on Farewell to Fingers. And basically, I don't like this route bird brain, which is a 12AR in the Gunks, which intersects a route called Slammin', which is a 12BR. Both very popular routes. I just didn't particularly like them. I didn't find the cruxes very fun or that good. I thought they were both very contrived and jammed in on top of each other. But I felt compelled to lead them. So on this day, I knew I had this route dialed. I didn't particularly feel like going for the lead. I was tired and I was just like low motivation, low energy. I went for it anyway. I got through the crux. I got through the R-rated part. I got through the run out. I'm in this stance with this very tenuous stance on two thumb presses. And my red alien that I placed in the rock, as I placed it in, one of the trigger wires of the cam hit a pebble and it jammed between two of the lobes, so the lobes weren't opening, they weren't functioning correctly. I thought I corrected this on the fly, and as I was doing it, I pulled outwards on the cam after I thought it was working, and it just whipped out of the rock and just whipped me off the rock. I fell maybe 6 inches, and this was a bad fall for me because it was heartbreaking because I didn't like this route. I did the hard part. I had like a 5'11" crux ahead of me, and then I was still, and I had to do it again. So I packed it up this day after this because I was just so heartbroken, and I moved on. So mentally, this was a really bad one. And yeah, don't yank outwards on your gear, too hard when you're mid route. I mean, that seems obvious, but it wasn't obvious to me in this moment until I whipped myself off the rock. So I'm messing with it. Like, oh, let me fix this cam. Come on, you did it. You can see that huge run out between the rope and I. And, oh, there we go. Oh, just pulled out like a total dummy. Oh. Right here. What do you pull out? Whip. Oh, I lost my tenuous thumb stance. What do I say? Oh, no, I can't believe I just did that. Oh no. Yeah, so that was a heartbreaker. Mentally, that was terrible. Okay, here at number 7, we don't have a fall at all, but this is me almost getting kicked off of a route. And that route happens to be Bird Brain, which I just hate this route. I did send, this is the send attempt, but I almost got kicked off right in the beginning. What happened here is there was a newer trad climber who was on a route to the left and around the corner of me called Birdland. And she was trying to do the right thing, and she was like tension traversing away. You could see in this clip that her rope is tensioned off to the left, sort of, away from her rope line. Yeah, so you see she's tensioning off to the left, she's tensioning off to the left even further. And because she was a newer climber, she thought that she was doing the right thing, trying to stay away from me. But her rope line is not anywhere near mine. She could have just lowered straight down the cliff. I'm not mad. I don't blame her. She didn't actually kick me off the rock. She did a great job not kicking me off the rock. And it doesn't matter to me. A bunch of locals got very angry at me for this. But when we watch the video, you'll see that where she settles is her rope line, and where I'm climbing is my rope line. No fault, no harm, no foul. So let's watch this. So, climbing. Whoa. Great job. Totally misses me. Zoned in, placing the horrific ball nut for the low crux. And now she's settled in her rope line. She's off to the side of me. She's not anywhere near me. It actually didn't affect me at all, but what I learned from this is that just to be even more aware of your surroundings. I think I had already started up the route when she was mid-lower or not. Maybe I could have waited because, or even just mentioned to her, like, oh, don't worry about tension traversing. But there you have it. Let's watch it again. Does a great job here. She's coming around. Yeah, she loses all the tension from the tension traverse. Whoa, she's swinging into my rope line around the corner. Oh, doesn't kick me, comes back, no big deal. I'm just like the Terminator, I keep going. And that's it, she's done. And then I'm done. And I sent on this, so Bird Brain, that route was just out to not have me send it. This route is V7, which is a 13AR in the Gunks. And this was a stupid fall because getting over this roof requires a really high foot. And I was wearing these Prana flannel line jeans, and I thought about this in the morning when I woke up before I put these on. And I was like, oh, these might bunch up and prevent my hip mobility from getting me over this lip. And I was like, nah, it'll be fine. And then I'm like, I should bring, the proper clothing for this. And I was just like, nah, these jeans will be fine. Like these bunchy Prana flannel line jeans will be totally fine. And they weren't fine. They actually prevented me from sending this that day. And I did a mock lead of this just prior to this, or a top rope or something. And I said when I came down, oh my God, these jeans are terrible. They're like, I barely got that foot up. And my buddy Jordan, who sent that day, was like, oh, you could use my pants. They're lighter. And I was like, no, it'll be fine. I'll just really fight through it. It'll be totally fine. So yeah, take take your friend's pants when they want to lend them to you. That's a good takeaway on this one. And also, like, if you know that there's something that's going to lead to you falling or make something more difficult for you, like, don't get in your own way. I don't know why I would do that, but that's exactly what I did. So let's watch. We're all set up. We got our gear. Let's go. Now, another thing that as I'm watching this, I remember. When I mock led this, I didn't tag a rope up with me, which I usually don't do, and I'm going to start to do more often because this happens. Part of this fall too was also this slight cut where I have to kick the gear out of the way. The rope pulled the gear in toward me and obstructed the foot. So I have to like weight my hands a little bit more than I was doing the sequence on top rope. So it's really important to tag a mock lead line up. Like, there should basically be no difference between the way you're leading and the way that you're mock leading, except for the lack of the top rope. Again, I haven't done that a lot. But I'm going to start to really do that. And you think that I would because I've done this a million times, but I always I'm like, this is fine. Like, it's going to be fine. It's a roof. What does it matter? Or this is a straight up and down route. How could the rope affect it? But it does affect it. So you'll see right here. So, whoa, had to cut. Whoa, that foot was obstructed. The gear was in the way. Now we keep going. Reach tiny crimp. Reset the feet. Bump, bad sloper crimp thing. One more bump again to a horrible sloper. Then the high foot, jump it up. Whoa, oh my God, I'm scared. I can't jump it up. Oh. And then I decide to back down. And that's a big fall onto a slab. That doesn't look like much, but the fronts of my calves were sore for like 4 or 5 days after that. The muscles actually absorbed an extreme amount of force. I didn't even notice when it happened. It was the next 4 or 5 days, seriously. So let's watch my ankles. So yeah, backing down, especially when you're looking at a bad fall, like if I had continued just, jumping that foot up, and I could have potentially taken a head first fall. One of my friends took a head first fall on this because his foot slipped as he continued jumping it up. And don't be afraid of backing down if it gets you into a better falling position. If you're actually going to fall in a dangerous part of a route, this is obviously the R-rated part. These are very small cams. These are loose blocks under the roof. And there's no reason that, the climb's still there. It's not going anywhere. So there's no reason to push it too hard when you're on R-rated 513 trad. And yep, bring the leg down. And whoa, all good. Here's the one a lot of you might have seen before. This made Weekend Whipper. Was all over the place. There was a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking about what actually happened in this clip, and a lot of people talking about stuff that they just simply don't understand and won't understand because they don't climb in this style. But that's why we talk about it, because we want more people to understand and to practice this head pointing style, because it's a lot of fun. So yeah, this is the Cilley Dicken 12AR fall, where I slam my wife's head against a rock and almost deck from 25 feet. So this is number 5, and this isn't lower on the list because this basically went according to plan completely, except for my wife's head getting slammed into the rock, and which she was totally fine. If you see here, you can see that she's tethered, that there's an anchor and a short sling tethering her into this rock. So she has a cam, she's tethered to the ground. I have a nut placement here, and then I have a small green DMM walnut here, and I place an offset blue and black alien in the flake here, just underneath my feet, just underneath my hands. Now, I knew that this placement was a shaky placement, but my fingers are in the good part of the hold, and I couldn't really figure out a way of getting a cam into that spot and still being able to do the crux. So I settled for this suboptimal offset placement, and when I placed it mid-crux, I knew that it was off a little bit, but I felt okay. I felt like I had it. And I knew that the nut at my feet would be enough to keep me off the ground if the cam blew. So I went for the crux anyway, and I blew it. And this is what happened when I blew it. Here we are. Climbing. Got the cam in already. Grab this little bad hole down on the corner. Terrible smearing feet, really bad. And then panic going to the slot. Oh, look at that handshake. Boom. Right into Sabrina. Thankfully, she has a really thick hair. It basically acted like a helmet for her head. She was totally fine. Let's watch this hand just panic. Oh, listen to that falling, like sheer terror, you know? I'm just like falling, wondering like, was I right about the nut? Is this gonna work? Yeah, let's watch the panic here, the hand flailing. Oh, falling, sheer terror. She was tethered to keep me off the ground, but we didn't really think about how high that would put her body and her head in the event that I did fall, how tight it would, how high she could possibly go, and where that would put her head in relation to the rock around her. Again, you see that she tucks as I crash into her and then bang her head into the rock with my hip. Again, this looks really bad, and I want to keep reiterating that she was totally fine. She didn't even have a scratch or a bruise or anything. But she was like very shocked by the fall, so she was kind of just like really frazzled. If she stayed straighter, that this wouldn't have happened. If I didn't climb this, this wouldn't have happened. If we anticipated, if I made her sling a little bit longer, I would have been fine. I had more clearance, and she would have been able to tuck her head and been fine. But also something that's important to note in this fall is that falling into your partner on dangerous routes is a good way of absorbing energy, because their body will absorb the energy of your fall too. That's not ideal, and that's not a tactic you would want to use like in your usual climbing, you know, but it is something to consider if you're doing something that's a little bit run out in the beginning. That falling into your partner is a way of dispersing energy. So yeah, a lot of people are really upset about this. Where are their helmets? Why wasn't she tethered? She is tethered. Why are they climbing this route? Why didn't he put in more gear? I didn't put in more gear because I couldn't put in more gear. I didn't wear a helmet because I didn't want to. She is tethered. She didn't wear a helmet because she didn't want to. Nobody was hurt, and we're all good. We have this very memorable fall, and then 20 minutes after this, I got on the horse and I sent it. So let's watch it one more time in entirety. So this is such a sandbag, like Jesus, 12A.
Hi, Sabrina here. I just want to add from my perspective on the Cilley Dicken fall, because again, this has been reposted on Whipper Media and different places several times, and people go crazy. As a belayer on these R or X-rated routes, you are also accepting a level of risk that you have to be okay with. And when I belay Eric on these routes, I know it's not like any other climb on any other day. I know that there is risk involved, not just for him, but for me. And that's kind of something that I need to weigh for myself. So obviously belaying him on Cilley Dicken, we had talked before about the potential for him to deck because of the gear and the run out and the potential of that nut not holding. So we talked through all of that. we decided to anchor me in, and I had an idea of the risk that I was taking as well as the risk that he was taking, and that's a partnership. You know, it's jarring. You don't expect it, even though you have to be prepared for it. Obviously, things could have ended up worse here, and even if they had, the risk of that is something that I accepted. There's a lot more that goes into it than just this video that people see and want to make all these claims about. So yeah, just wanted to set my record straight and yeah, moving on.
This is Death's Head Mask, a 12DX here in the Gunks. And what I learned from this fall, first of all, is that nests of really terrible gear, it's always worth nesting a lot of bad gear, because all of that gear together increases the chance of all of it holding. So you're always better off over gearing stuff, like literally place for 5 trash pieces, because all 5 trash pieces together can hold. So the nest off to the left of me, that's actually 4 pieces. It's 2. We did a whole video on this route that's on our channel. You could watch it and see the quality of these placements and everything. But those are 2 half-seated ball nuts, a Moses Logan hook, and a sideways red DMM HB offset, I believe. And then up on the right by my hands, I have a hook, a large hook from a company called Fierro Climbing Equipment. All of the gear is slung separately, but slung such that it's all comes together in one centralized point just off to the left of me. So all of the gear all at once takes the weight of this fall. I fall here in the worst possible spot to fall on this route. And I was totally okay. But the 4 pieces off to the left of me all pulled under weight, my hand weight pulling them out, like a slight yank. But all 4 together held, no problem. What happened on this fall and why I actually fell is because I felt really strong and powerful for the route. I felt like I could do it really easily. So I didn't mock lead it as much as I should, and I didn't dial it as much as I should. So when I got to the sequence on lead, had a little moment of doubt, I think I slipped my foot. Yeah, I slipped my foot, and that kind of throws off my concentration, and then it just leads to a chain reaction of me falling here. And you could hear the way that I screamed falling in this is that I'm absolutely terrified. And wasn't expecting this gear to hold. The hook I expect to hold, but of course it's a hook. It could come, I have a tension, so it has a less of a chance, but it could come dislodged. It could just break the flake that it's hooked on off the wall. And then you have all the trash gear below that. And if all this gear goes, you're going to take a really bad fall into a sharp and pointy crevice. So let's just see where this is at. Chalking up. Yep. Moving up over all the gear. This out of the way. This foot on. Slip a little. Oh! And then I'm like, oh my god, I'm chicken winging. Oh my god, get the next hold. Oh my god, okay, you're doing fine. Alright, wait. Where do you put your feet? I'm like, what am I doing? Where do I put my feet? Just kick. Oh, listen to that. Falling, like I am, literally like I'm falling to my death. It is what that felt like. And I was totally fine. It looks short and melodramatic, and it looks like not X-rated. But having taken this fall and having pulled on this gear after this fall, I wouldn't take this fall again. Look at all that gear. Yeah, amazing. Looks so cool. Gear is amazing. Yeah, so that's it. Nest your gear. Very important. This is Boogey Man 12BR, which I think is an excellent, underrated and underclimbed route on the workout wall, because it's a little bit of a pain in the neck to set up. So this was actually a day ascent attempt. So I did this. I felt confident to do it. I knew if I could stick this low dyno move that I could just lead this route in a day with my buddy Kevin. And I didn't stick this low dyno. and I fell and I whipped my foot into this corner. And this fall doesn't look so bad, but I found this out later. I found this out about 6 months later. I actually broke my ankle on this fall. I knew that my foot was jacked up, but it just felt sprained. This was the end of the climbing day. Kevin had to go up to the top of the cliff and wrap down and clean our gear. And I had to like hobble my way out. My foot, my big toe nail fell off. I jammed it into my toe, so into my shoe so hard. It was bruised. My foot was bruised. My ankle was bruised. It was hard to walk for a few days. And despite all that, I didn't feel like I actually broke a bone. I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel that way. It didn't hurt to put weight on my ankle. It hurt to put weight on like the skin around my ankle, like a bruise. So after a week or so, I felt fine. I didn't realize that this was such a bad fall at the time. It's fun. What's funny about this Boogey Man, which we've done a video on, is that I almost did this in a day. And then I ended up spending like 4 or 5 sessions on it because of all of these different variables that just prevented me from sending it. So you can watch that video if you want. But yeah, here's the fall. I did a top rope, a mock lead, and then I did this lead attempt. Setting up for the dyno here, little pop, and I know if I got this that I pretty much got it. Pop to it, oh, miss. Oh, that hurt the way I just kicked the foot into the rock there. Yeah, so it's probably, I don't know, maybe a 7-foot fall. Tight catch from Kevin, which I told him to do or asked him to do, because I didn't want to deck out on the ledge here. But that had me whip into the wall and like, break my ankle, I guess. So, man, I hate to say I didn't really learn anything from this one. Maybe if I went back, I would hang a pad there, half a pad there or something, to protect that little corner. But I guess I was thinking more about landing on the ledge, on that rock beneath me. So I wanted the hard catch, and I didn't really think about just catching that corner just the right way and whipping into it. So yeah, I guess just don't get tunnel vision on the obstacles that are around you, which I guess I did in this, So I guess I learned that. Ooh, thinking I'm gonna be fine. I'm like, oh, I'll go for another lead. I'm literally thinking like, oh, I'll just go for another lead attempt. Oh, and then just jack that foot up so bad. And that was it. That was the end of that climbing day. I put up a picture of my foot, but it's kind of gross and nobody actually wants to see that. So yeah, that's number 3. So this route is Devine Wind 12AR, which I think we've also done a video on. And this fall in itself is not too bad, but what's important about this one is that this was 2 weeks after the Boogey Man fall. So I had a broken ankle, which I didn't know about. And then I fell on this. I took a ground fall on this, jammed my ankle upwards into basically the same exact way I did it on Boogey Man, and broke it in a different spot. I only found this out like 6 months later. I started to lose ankle mobility, and I was like, what the heck is wrong with this ankle? Like, it's like drastically, like my one foot is like this, my other foot's like that. And I went to a doctor and got an x-ray, and he's like, yeah, you got a bunch of bone spurs, and it looks like you got 2 breaks in there. And like, have you fallen on your ankle recently? And I was like, well, I fell on it twice, like 6 months ago. So I broke my ankle in this fall also. The only 2 injuries I've ever had from climbing, besides like overuse injuries and stuff. The only 2 injuries I've ever had from falling within 2 weeks of each other. I broke my ankle, and then I broke the same ankle again. I didn't get surgery. He told me I should probably get surgery. I didn't get surgery. I did PT and mobility stuff on it, and my ankle it feels as good as new. So whatever the body does, the body heals, as long as you eat a healthy diet, as long as you get your nutrition. All right, setting up, low crux, cold day. Don't want to ice my hands out. Blow the hand. Oh, basically, don't miss the pads, but there's pads off to the left there. Would have been a fine fall if I didn't already. So let's see how we come in. Yeah, you can't. Unfortunately, my feet are out of the frame. But that's a good, like, it's hard to tell, but that's a good, like, 15-foot ground fall. Wife saving me again, as usual, saving me from everything in my life. Whoa. Yo, I'm going to jump up this route. Ready? It counts. It's a dyno start. Ready? Dyno start. My wife just throw me up there. Throw me up there. Thank you. So that was it. Yeah, I just dry fired off that hold. It was one of those days where it's where it was cold but humid. Like the rock feels slimy even though it's cold. I let it, and again, I kind of hurt my ankle, and I'm like, oh man, that kind of hurt, but I was like, I think I feel okay, and maybe 5 minutes later, I got back on it, and I let it successfully. The first gear is basically right after this move, so I fell at the worst spot, and yeah, that's it. Okay, so this is a very instructional fall. This is number one. And this is my first fall, of course, my worst fall. It's my first fall ever when I began my head pointing career. So this is Bone Hard 12BR in Sleepy Hollow in the Gunks. And I was very new to head pointing, and I didn't have an understanding of what R meant. I didn't have an understanding of what X meant. R to me meant if you fall on a route, you will be seriously physically injured. X meant you would die. What I fall on here is a very poorly placed, horrifically placed red DMM Dragonfly microcam. I spent like 45 minutes trying to find this single, very poorly placed piece to protect the run-out crux on this. And going back to it now, I could probably place 10 different pieces in this little crack. But I just wasn't skilled enough with micro gear, and I wanted to become a hard trad climber. So I found this crap cam, and I thought, well, this is the R-rated part, and if I fall here, I'll be seriously physically injured. And that's what R-rated trad is. And to some extent that is true, but also to some extent with head pointing, that's not true. This is much more of a PG-13 route. Definitely not a route you almost die on, like I almost do here. And when I took this fall, I realized that this was not the way. And I'm very glad that this happened very early in my climbing career, because it caused me to reevaluate my entire thought process around how I approach these routes. And it led to some of the other things that I mentioned while filming this video. Over-gearing routes, using hooks, using nests of trash gear, rehearsing routes. This is a small snippet of all of the routes I've climbed. It just, this fall, not being injured, had made me an immensely better trad climber, because I came down off of this fall, I recovered my gear, I was horrified at the way that it saved me, which I'll explain, and then I spent another hour on a different day messing around with gear in this crack until I found something that I knew was going to work. And then I just became better and better with micro gear, strange placements, weird placements, nesting pieces, placing hooks, all sorts of stuff that can decrease the severity and lessen the chance of you being seriously injured on these sorts of routes. So let's watch this. My worst trad fall ever, besides all of the 5/8 trad falls that I don't have videos of. So here we go. Set up. I'm like, all right, I'm the man. I'm wearing my flannel line Prana jeans, just like the V7 video, except this is like 5 years before that. Moving through the crux, have a horrific cam. Oh, good. No, stuck that move. Good. Doing good. Get the foot up and slip. Whoa. Oh. Now, off to the right here, where there's this detached pillar, there's a crevice here that goes down. And then where my belayer Nick is, underneath his feet, is another crevice that's not too deep, maybe 5 feet deep. But all I was seeing as I came down here, my body turned to the right. I was looking down this crevice, and I actually had the experience of my life flashing before my eyes. I was thinking, like, this is it. This is going to hurt. Like, my legs are going to be broken. I fell at the worst spot. My legs are going to be broken. If I'm lucky, I'm going to break my spine. I'm going to hurt things. I'm going to puncture lungs. This is going to be horrific. I'm going to fall into this ditch. I'm here with Nick. You know, how is this even going to happen? So that was horrifying. So what made that particularly scary is that the cam that I fell on blew out of its placement. And dragonfly cams have a hex head at the stem, like a hex nut type of head at the stem. And as I fell, this cam blew, and then that hex head wedged itself into the crack and actually saved my life, potentially, you know, at least barred me from like serious physical injuries. Because if that cam blew, I would have decked, hit the ground, fallen into that, bounced between these rocks, tumbled onto my head. Who even knows? The cam blew, and the hex head of the cam stuck. I still have the cam, so I'll probably grab a picture of that and put it up, and you could see the damage to it. Yeah, and this was like super consequential. This changed my entire outlook on how these routes are supposed to go, how the gear is supposed to be placed, how dangerous it actually is supposed to be. And yeah, I'm truly glad I came out of this one okay, because that, hands down, is the worst fall that I've taken. I only got lucky by the grace of God that I made it through that for real, because the cam didn't work. The stem of the cam wedged itself into the rock and saved my life. I was horrified when I lowered back down, got back up over the cliff, lowered down again, and found that gear in that condition. I was like, holy crap. So yeah, do not rush finding gear placements. If you're inexperienced with micro gear, if you're inexperienced with head pointing, take your time, bang your head against the wall, figuring it out. Don't bang your head against the wall, falling to your death. And that's it. That is my top 10 worst trad falls. Some of them are lame. Some of them are not so lame. Some of them are dangerous. Some of them are not as dangerous as they look. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and learn something, other than just watching me fall. So check us next time.